Armadale is located southeast of Perth, 25 kilometres inland from the ocean, on the plain just below the Perth foothills. In 2017, it was rated as one of the fastest growing cities in Australia. Before the days of air conditioning, before the days of online social networks, local people of all ages would go down to the Aquatic Centre to socialise and find relief from the heat. Local schools used the pool for swimming lessons. It became the place where a lot of our local Aussie kids learnt to swim. The Aquatic Centre was opened in 1980 by Armadale Mayor of the time, Ian Blackburn. After 37 years of operation, the pool was closed for major redevelopment in 2017. This is the story of the people, their memories and the culture around Armadale Aquatic Centre prior to this time.
Originally, Kelmscott Aquatic Centre was built by the local people on land donated by the Armadale Council following the death of a child in the river. So all the residents got together to hand dig the pool down at Kelmscott. The club was instrumental in getting the Armadale pool built because the Kelmscott pool was very cold and it was a 33 1/3 metre, which was the original race size. So, or 33 yards basically, so it wasn't of any fixed length that they could run competitions out. Then they petitioned to have this centre built.
The first contact I had with it was a letter I received. Would we be willing to pay $1 extra in rates to build a new aquatic centre? Because they had to raise a loan, and I believe then they were required or just decided to do a loan poll. That went through quite unanimously.
And I joined the Shire of Armadale Kelmscott in November 1977 as the pool manager at Kelmscott Swimming Pool. And I took over running this centre in 1980 when it was first built, through until I was here until July 1990. This pool was special, very special. It was the only one of its kind in Australia where the emphasis was on recreation, not sport.
Yeah, I remember the cave when we used to come here as a kid. There was the tunnels, the slides, and up the top they had the kind of splash pool area with the fountains. And we used to love going in there and hiding from mum sometimes and just running around and basically running amok as kids do.
We came here from the age, I think, of 2 years old, really, up until I finished high school. So we spent a lot of time in the splash pool. And also there was the other pool, which sort of went around, and there was the rocks, and remember that one? Oh, we just used to play lots of games, you know, made up kids' games and jumping in from the top, and yeah.
Well, I think we used to call that the castle. In fact, it reminded me of a big water tank with holes carved into it. So under the under area there used to be water spraying and so on. You go up the steps, and there was, I don't know if you would call it zero depth, but it was certainly very wet. And then you would slide down into a pool, which was just underneath the slide. That used to attract a lot of kids. Well, when my kids were real little, of course, I had to go in there with them, so I remember the sounds. It's kind of burned into my brain.
Yeah, they were in there. We put them in, they were in there to start with. Yeah, very, very well used. Hey, they were great, believe it or not. They were really great. We really loved them. Some people come along with the idea that we might like to have this ski rink in the pool. They tried a couple of pools actually. We tried it out for a while. Yeah, it was great fun, but took up far, far too much room. You know, it was just, and it was too dangerous in that regard because you couldn't have anybody in the pool just in case somebody went out of control.
I'm a qualified lifeguard. I worked in the United States and in the Middle East as a lifeguard at public swimming pools. I was involved with the kiosk. My friend Ken Stewart was the applicant and opened the kiosk. So I was down there very often helping him serve the lunchtime rushes and so on. And because he did fresh food and cooked in there, it was very popular. So he did a huge turnover.
I'm Joy Dowie, and I used to manage the tubes here in the 80s for several years. Oh, it's, you know, I can't really quite think, but I suppose we could have had 800 to 1,000 a day, but I'm not certain about it. I mean, that would be a really good day.
I would say when we first started that 60% of the patronage was kids under the age of 16. The 16 to probably 25-year-olds were the next lot. And then a few silly old buggers like me. We had one bloke that's over 70. Used to come and ride the slide probably once a week for half an hour. Had a ball.
So one night some kids got in and they had 3 packets of kit dishwashing liquid because we found the containers, and they put one in every tube and got the water that was in the troughs at the top and rode the slide. Everything looked good in the water in the morning until I put the pump on, and it was just like turning your tap on in your sink, and the soap suds rose and rose and rose till it was about over a metre high. I fell in because I couldn't find the edge of the pool when I'm trying to get the soap suds out.
I was rolling around on the ground laughing when she fell in, I can assure you. It was hilarious.
Well, I'm Robert and my wife Glenda. We've owned the slides, or Glenda's owned the slides since 1999. We tried giving people different coloured mats for the hours, but eventually the mats were just mats. Black turned out to be the best wear-wise, because kids bite the mats. For some reason, nibble.
Yeah,
but the black ones they didn't, and somebody told me
maybe it's the colour, you know, black just kind of put them off. Yeah. Or blue looks nice, orange looks nice.
Maybe it's nibbly, so yeah, but with the black ones, that was one of the reasons.
We never had any major problems. The only time I can remember having to close the pool was, I'll make this young. Somebody in their bright, using their brains, dumped a whole lot of chook shit over the oval out here, with the wind blowing, and it all came over the fence because that roof wasn't on the over there, and into the pool, and I immediately shut the pool down on a health reason. That's the only time I've ever shut the pool down. We spent a day cleaning up.
I think I can safely tell this story now. I wouldn't have done it earlier, but some years ago, Bill is of course well known for the fact that he rides to work on a bike, on a push bike. And one day when we were doing an accounting audit, we happened to talk about how we handled the monies that was collected at the pool. I was shocked to find out that it was actually Bill was riding it up here on his push bike in his backpack to get it into because that was the safest way. No one knew about it, but that's the safest way to get it here. But we had to discontinue that practice because in modern days of risk.
We have 3 training lanes, 8, 7 and 6, and I've been in lane 8 now 26 years. I've just told everybody it's the champagne lane. The social side of it's fantastic, you know, and then being in a club for 26 years, there's been a lot of changes and you know, from all walks of life, you know, and everyone's been fantastic. Yeah, I'd just say we're just one big happy family, you know, and we've all been there for each other if, you know, something's going on. Yeah, very supportive.
I came because around about the age of 49, I thought I was getting very unfit, and I was trying to jog again, and my knees were going, my ankles, and I thought, I better start doing something else. and swimming was the answer. So I came down the hill and joined the club. You know, Master's all about fun, fitness and friendship, and all three F's are what I really enjoy. Another factor in our swimming is that we are inclusive. Well, I like to think we are inclusive, and we've had a number of disabilities, and our most recent one is a blind person, Alex, and he was on the verge of Olympic swimming standard.
I've been coming to Armadale Pool for years. I used to be a swimmer from a young little boy, so I had competitions and all sorts of things here. So yeah, I'm 35 now. It's very different swimming with no vision. Even just trying to keep a straight line to start off with, when I first came back down after losing my sight, was incredibly hard.
What this is it's a device where I can speak directly into Alex's earphones into his ears. It's a phone conductor, so he can hear me in his brain as he's talking. And he can also listen to what people also tell him through the normal ear canal. A little more centre, you're still on that rope. Go centre.
Being able to train in an outdoor pool, which is as beautiful as this one, the water's lovely. Yeah, it's been fantastic.
Well, I've swam in quite a few pools, Port Hedland, Margaret River, Kalgoorlie. Armadale's still one of the nicest pools. The facilities haven't been the greatest, but the pool itself has been great. You know, and we go to other pools, you know, for 6 months of the year, and it's just heaven to come back to our own pool.
The fact that Armadale Aquatic Centre has a 50-metre pool outdoors that is heated to extend the summer, so we start earlier in summer and finish later, that is fantastic. And being outdoors, we insisted that please don't cover the pool, the 50-metre pool, keep it outdoors, because that's the essence of swimming in a Mediterranean climate like ours.
Waterwalkers started in 2003 by Ian Sutherland and a group of people from the city of Armadale. They all got together and decided they'd like to have some activity, and they chose the water walking. And first of all, we went to the 25-metre pool, and then as the group got bigger, we went over to the bigger pool. I joined in the December 2003. A lot of people come down that have had knee operation, hip operations or back trouble, and they find walking in the water has helped them a great deal. We've had a lot of success of people recovering, yes. Ian was very heavily involved in the community of the city of Armadale and community activities, the arena, etc. He had cancer in the end. He could hardly speak, but he didn't let that deter him. He kept on going. We never used to walk the full length of the pool because it was deep at one end, so we would only walk half the pool, and we would do laps, and we'd have little road counters, so we're accurately doing it. And then when we finish, we come and recorded it in the book, and Ian will add up all the laps and convert it to kilometres and would say to us, right, we've walked from Perth to Broome to Kurranurra and back, or Perth to Kalgoorlie and back 10 times, or down the southwest a couple of times. And it was really interesting how far we had all walked and that. And then he brought in an award. You had to do 100 laps, and we all had to touch the end of the pool, or you wasn't counted, and we got a beautiful certificate to say that we've done 100 laps.
I've been coming here since I was about 12, so I'm 35 this year, so it's a very long time. I started swimming here for the Armadale Kelmscott, the Aqua Dragons, and yeah, I did states here and then ended up going to nationals. When I first started here, the club was really small, and then we had a new coach come in, and it grew, and it was the biggest that it's ever been.
I coached Armadale Kelmscott since from '95 through to 2002. I was involved in the paid coaching through the council to start with, and then I went on my own after, when it was not really viable for the council. We've had some really good swimmers come out of this area. One has gone to the Olympics, a couple of national medalists, so the area has the potential.
So I was the first state swimmer along with Shane, and we competed. We probably didn't do well the first year, but then going back the next year, we were all top 10s. Yeah, and we really created a culture. We came out of nowhere, and all of a sudden everybody knew that Armadale Kelmscott was a club, and we were going to start catching them. So it was awesome, and we went out there on a mission. Everything was full. All of the grandstand was full, and we used to go down Friday nights. We'd always be down here, and then have competitions, and we'd all marshal down here. And we used to have a gentleman called Mr. Glasgow. He was an older gentleman, and he would sit and he would still have his manual book, and he would have everybody's name in there, and we would have to go up to him after a swim and write down, give him our times, and he would write them in the book. And so he'd tell us, "Oh, Tanya, you've got 2 seconds off." And every race he did the same thing, go back to Mr. Glasgow, and that whole grandstand every Friday night, hot chips, and it was just packed.
He'd be down there every single training session he could make, including mornings, and he would just come down and watch and sit and talk to the parents. He has been the backbone of this club since the early 70s, and he is a great loss.
This place just brings back so many memories, and yeah, and it's hard to explain being a swimmer, because you live it, you breathe it, and it's a part of your soul, yeah.
I think it's a great place for all members of the community to gather together. We do see people from all walks of life, all nationalities. It's really wonderful to see how many people who perhaps come from other countries, and you can see some of them are learning to swim themselves, or their kids are learning to swim, and they're involving themselves in the Australian way of life. I'm Aussie born, but I've got so many different nationalities in me, it's not funny. I think because I came from a family that were migrants and none of them were swimmers, so therefore it wasn't probably considered an important thing for them when they had me, and therefore we never had a pool, we were never likely to have a pool. I just don't think it really registered to them. But I always thought that if I ever had children, they would always learn to swim from a very young age so that they'd be confident and competent around water, unlike myself, who it's taken to adulthood to feel comfortable around water.
Every year the pool runs a Rottnest virtual swim. So basically they do the same distance as if they were swimming to Rottnest in the water. They do the same amount of distance in the pool.
So they all don their pink caps, they get here at some ridiculous time in the morning, and they basically swim a lap, and then someone else swim a lap, and they just keep doing that until they've swum X number of laps. And I think it's over 6 hours worth of swimming in order to complete that distance that's required.
My name's Corrie, and we run the swimming lessons here at the pool for all the primary schools in the area. Any kids that are in pre-primary to year 6 or 7 come along, book in and come and do swimming lessons. An area like here really needs it because we're not close to the beach. We don't really have a river where the kids can go and swim, so it's basically the only swimming spot for most of these kids to go. So we've got about 25 schools that come along. It's quite a lot of kids. Our busiest fortnights, we've got 700 kids coming a day. So we have 7 lessons with about 100 kids in each lesson. So it's a lot, and they come for 2 weeks. So that's a lot of kids that we're processing with lessons.
We have lessons here in spring for 2 weeks. And we all come down and line up and wait for our swimming teachers. They have numbers on their bibs so that you know what number they are, and so you don't get lost and confused of which teacher you have.
What we do is we take down all the ropes, which are the lanes, and then we get everyone to group around the pool.
And then it goes around.
And then we go around, and around, and then after that we turn the other way around, and then we have to try go up against the water, and sometimes she'll ask us to go on our backs.
Before the whirlpools, we talked about why we do it. You know, if you're stuck in a river in the rapids and you fall out of your boat, you want to go feet first, not head first, with your head up. Or if you're in the ocean, you try and swim against a rip or a current, how strong it can be.
You shouldn't swim against current.
Because it's a bit too hard, because you'll probably get sucked in.
Yeah,
like
maybe.
a beast. Aha!
There still are schools that we haven't been able to fit in because of the time frame we've got available doesn't cope. So now the new pool will go all year, so we'll be able to hopefully fit all the kids in from this area. Being open all the time, I think, will be a huge value to the community for the kids.
Everybody should do swimming lessons because swimming is good and it's good for your bodies because it's really good exercise sometimes.
Surprised at how they can get it in.
Oh, we've got to go on. Look at the cowboy, darling. Let's go!
Attention patrons, the centre is now closed. If you'd like to make your way towards the exits, thank you.